Continuing violence in Afghanistan, it's boom time for the media there. But as only an estimated third of the population is literate, local radio stations are on the increase. Under the Taliban, there was only one, but now there's dozens hitting the airwaves, despite being put under pressure by the government. RT's Paula Sleer reports.
Nisar Ahmed takes his listeners' comments seriously. 5 years ago, he and his team broke news themselves by becoming the first local station in the country's second largest city, Kalat. Today, there are some 90 radio stations across Afghanistan, as well as 15 daily newspapers and 20 television channels.
I like doing something for my people. I get so many letters from listeners telling me about the problems they have. No electricity, no water. Afterwards, I go to the government. I tell them what's happening and make sure they do something.
Radio Zabul broadcasts to listeners living in the remote mountainous area of Kalat city. It's new, it's local, and it's fast becoming a model for future Afghan radio.
I listen to the music and the news tells me what's going on in my province. I like it very much. I often write to them and ask them to play my favorite songs. I send them jokes.
But there's only so much lobbying the radio can do. Like most Afghani media, it's government-controlled in a country with little press freedom. The international media watch body, Reporters Without Borders, ranked Afghanistan 28th from bottom out of 175 nations last year in terms of press freedom, an improvement from the previous year. Some say that given the country's troubled past, it's actually surprising it scores that high at all. The radio station has a strength of 50 watts and can cover an area of 10 to 15 miles. That's probably not even enough for this city. The Afghan Center for Social and Opinion Research says that 4 out of 5 Afghans rely on radio for their news, with only half that number having access to television. Newspapers have even less reach, with statistics suggesting less than 30% of the population can read. Which is why Abdullah Abids set himself a difficult task. He's in the final stages of putting together a magazine that he hopes will help change the culture of his readers.
We will send it to schools so teachers can read it to their students, and those students will read it to their parents, and so on. The main problem we have in Afghanistan is lack of education. Most people never went to school and are not interested in sending their children to school. We have to change that.
But change is slow. Last month, the Afghan government was criticized for limiting press freedom when it banned live reporting from the aftermath of suicide bombings, arguing it helped militants and risked the lives of journalists. But a leading newspaper journalist says the situation's way better compared to 14 years ago when the then ruling Taliban shut down television and allowed only one radio station to broadcast, with output limited to religious programs and Taliban propaganda.
We never had the concept of independent media throughout our history, and it has just started. It's actually a new phenomenon in Afghanistan just after the fall of Taliban. So I believe that with the pace we are going ahead, this is much more encouraging.
Dr. Yasser admits to sometimes being threatened by fanatics or indirectly being pressured by government to voice a particular opinion. But it seems a small price to pay when the building of a media culture is still so very much in its infancy. Paula Sleer, RT, Afghanistan.